Hello friends and welcome back. It's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, posting for the Funky Junkie Boutique using some of the new Stampers Anonymous stamps and stencils they just released. If you follow me, you've seen some of my brayered oxide ink backgrounds. Again, I've done many of them over time, and I decided to pull them out and add stencils and stamps and, just really play with them. So here's one of the multicolored ones, again, from my, my back stash that I have. So I went ahead and taped it onto a mat where I can do my stenciling. So I'm pulling out Distress ink colors: carved pumpkin, picked raspberry, peacock feather, twisted citron, wilted violet, and mustard seed. So again, great rainbow colors. So that's really what I was going for. So I'm going to go ahead and do each one of those areas in different colors. And the cool thing is that, again, the colors from below definitely impacted the color on top. So I thought that was real interesting. So I'm using a scrap piece of cardstock here to protect the other areas so that they don't get ink on them. So again, here I'm using the wilted violet, and again, just using a blending tool and just, adding the color. And then we'll go ahead and go around the rainbow here. Here we'll go with the peacock feathers. And again, like I say, I'm blending over the oxide colors, so they're kind of blending nicely. So this is going to be the last segment that I do. This is going to be picked raspberry. They're too much fun. Isn't that cool? I thought it was really neat to have this particular stencil, just to add a rainbow of color. The next thing I pulled out is what looks like, it's kind of like an Art Deco type of stencil, so we'll use that. But before I do that, I've grabbed my Hickory Smoke archival ink and one of my Ledger script stamps. And again, favorite stamps, use them in the background all the time because they just kind of create some subtle texture in the background of your card bases. So once I've got that done, and again, I use the Hickory Smoke so that, again, it would be a little more permanent. Next thing I did is I grabbed that new stencil, it's one of the Art Deco-y looking ones. And then I've grabbed crackle paste, just white crackle paste. So I'm going to go ahead, spread that all over. You can see here I'm working on an 8.5 by 11, half of that sheet. And so it kind of gives me, I'll have two card bases ultimately. So again, I put the crackle paste on one side, and then I'm kind of moving around to different areas. And then we'll set this whole thing aside to dry and to crackle. So it's kind of fun. Got one more little area to do in the corner. Right up there, we'll just add a little bit up there. And I have to admit, I have not played with these stencils and texture paste before. Tim has a great video out on his channel. It's an older one. It's about 2.5 hours long. But again, it explains all of these mediums and what you can do with them. And I found that really helpful before I even started down this road. So now I've got the black opaque paste out here. I've never worked with this before either, but just had a lot of fun playing with it. And just the contrast against that picked raspberry and saltwater taffy background, I just thought was so dramatic and just really, just really improved the looks of this one. So look at that. Look at that drama. I just thought that was so much fun. So again, there's that Ledger script stamp again, adding the words and things in the background, just kind of filling in that space. So here is the labels. I believe it's called label stencil. So I am going to use translucent texture paste on this one. So we'll go ahead and get that out. So I'm also going to use then embossing glaze in cracked pistachio and salvage patina. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just spread that translucent paste on there. It's very fluid, much more fluid than the other paste that I was working with. So again, it takes me a little while to get it smoothed out and leveled and, happy with the amount of paste that I had on there. So once I get it completely covered, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. And then I'm going to get out my embossing glazes. So like I say, I've got cracked pistachio here, and I'm just going to use a spoon and just kind of throw it in the areas where I used cracked pistachio on the back. And so then we'll go ahead and tap it off. And again, I'll go ahead and put that back in the jar. So I did the two colors separately because I didn't want to have a party mix. You know, Tim talks about party mixes all the time. I didn't want to have one, so I wanted to try to maintain the integrity of the embossing glaze. So once that's done, we'll go ahead and heat set it. So this is the one, you know, I did let it dry prior to heat setting. So that's important because otherwise you get a bunch of bubbles and things. So again, here I am just kind of heat setting it after it dried. So there's my three backgrounds. I'm really happy with these. I think they're a great start. So now we're getting out our stamps. So this is the new one. I love this. This is Abstract Florals. So what I'm doing is just stamping it, and I ended up using a black pigment ink for it so that I could emboss it with just clear embossing powder. So again, these are things from my stash. So then I pulled out my scissors to fussy cut it out. So, you know, this one, they're really easy to cut out actually because they're pretty contained and, you know, just dramatic. So I thought that would be great to go ahead and cut it out and pop it up on the front of the card. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. I ended up cutting out both the large floral that's similar to this and the smaller one, and I used the larger one on that multicolor background with the crackle paste and used the smaller one on that pink and black. So again, we've got that out, and I'm looking at it for that. And I actually decided to use that smaller one. The larger one, I wanted to color in some of the colors so that it, you know, popped against the background. So I pulled out my Distress watercolor pencils, which I just love. I, of course, have the whole set. I'm a full set syndrome girl. So anyway, here I am. I'm just kind of coloring on and this is actually cardstock. This is not watercolor paper. So again, I'm just going to add the color and then water it down a little bit. So here I am putting together, and you can see I cut out a scribbly butterfly out of the back because I thought maybe I would use it on this one, but it was just way too busy to put that butterfly on. So I saved the butterfly, and I'll use it on this one with the multicolored background. I thought that was a really nice, nice pop of interest. So when I stamped the sentiment on here, some of it went over the crackle paste and it didn't stamp well. So I got out my Micron black pen and just kind of filled it in, and it worked fine. So then I went ahead and I trimmed it down to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm adding it on a piece of black cardstock to put on the front of the card. I like to use black edges because it makes things just really kind of pop out. So now what I'm doing is I've added foam tape to the back of that purple and pink flower that we colored, and I'm going to go ahead and just strip all the foam tape off the backing so that I can go ahead and attach that to the front of the card, kind of over to the left. So it'll be kind of over that crackle paste, but clearing away so I can add that black scribbly butterfly. So what I did is once I had that done, I went ahead and just grabbed the butterfly and I just glued it in the center, kind of where the body was, so that the wings could pop up just a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with this one. So moving on, we're going to do the green background next. So this is where I ended up stamping the typewriter and the pointy finger and the letter on just plain white cardstock. So again, I thought I could be smart and just kind of rotate the cardstock and get two. Didn't work so well. I ended up with the two hands way too close, so it was going to be difficult to cut them out. So anyway. So we'll move on and just cut out what I can and use what I can. So I ended up stamping a few extra pointy fingers and the letter page. So once I fussy cut out the typewriter, I went ahead and cut that spot for the paper to come through. And then I've added, this is the happy birthday, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that on one of the letter pieces. And then I'll go ahead and fussy cut that part out as well. So these pieces, I love this this is the Curiosity Shop. I love this stamp set. There are so many cool images on this one. It's just, I can see lots of things. This one's interesting. Look at the way I cut it out. I wasn't too concerned about, getting the edges of the typewriter, but buddy, I worked really hard to get that lever thing because I knew I wanted to use double cardstock to give it a little bit of strength. I do this all the time. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and trim this one to that 4 by 5 1/4 and add it to a piece of black cardstock. And again, you see me kind of pushing, kind of curling the ends, and that's just to make sure that I get good adhesion. With watercolor, cardstock, with just anything that has a lot of texture to it, and in this case it was from the Texture Paste, I wanted to make sure that they were attached well at the edges. I think that's always the first point of failure. So again, cutting those pointy fingers out. So I cut out 2. So I got 2 pointy fingers going here. Then I'm going to have the hand pointing to the happy birthday sign here on the front. So I thought this one turned out real cute. So again, I glued 2 of the pointy fingers together. Just too much fun. So I'm adding the foam tape on the back, and then I also added foam tape on the back of the typewriter to kind of pop it up as well. And so we'll go ahead and put the typewriter at the lower right-hand side and put the pointy finger pointing at the sentiment, happy birthday. So again, another great card for my masculine stash. I've got a lot of men in my family, so I need to have cards. So there's the one with that rainbow background and the scribbly butterfly and that abstract floral. Here's the pink and black one. Isn't that dramatic? Really like that one. And here is the happy birthday. Again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Blogger. I would love to count you as one of my subby friends. Thanks for stopping by.